Really enjoyed our spring training chats with our Bucko announcers, and we thank A&A Construction for being their sponsor all through this spring training. Our very last visit is with Joe Block, who joins us this morning. Joe, the bags packed yet?
No. That's about 9 o'clock today. I'll be feverishly doing that.
Yeah.
It's such a funny time of year for everybody, but it's a great one because that means the regular season's right around the corner.
I know. You think back how quickly spring training goes, and I know it probably seems to you like you just got there, right?
To the contrary.
No, yeah?
Relocating your life and being estranged from your family for many weeks does not feel like a quick jaunt. But in baseball sense, yes. I mean, you think about we're clamoring for something, some sign of spring, and, Punxsutawney Phil doesn't come through, and then it's, okay, well, here's some spring training games on our TV and our radio again. Okay, well, maybe there's some spring, and then obviously we've just had the off and on weather in March, and then finally it's like, well, wait a minute, I think we're finally going to the weather, and here comes the regular season, and baseball games are going to count, and so I think that really does uplift everybody's spirits. You start to feel like, okay, spring is finally taking the stranglehold over winter, and we're going to move forward here and have some really nice days going forward.
Yeah. Well, we're waiting for those to happen. Joe, of course, give us some insight into a Pirates broadcaster's life. You're going to leave Florida. You're coming home to Pittsburgh before you get to New York, and how good will it be when you finally do get home?
Yeah, no, we go right to New York tonight. So the team goes to New York, and we'll go there, and then we'll go to Cincinnati, and then go home to open the season. So I think for the team, the guys that were on the bubble trying to figure out if they're going to go to Indianapolis or are they going to go to New York, for them it's a great relief, and that the special moments of lining up on the chalk lines, getting their names announced on opening day, it's a relieving feeling. A lot of the guys have told me through the years that they've made it. Some of them making a debut or it's their first opening days. They're starting to feel like, all right, this is something that they've been working at their whole lives. And now maybe this is the time where it's starting to really be permanent for them. And so it's cool to just be a small part of that, just a witness to seeing how these guys working so hard get to experience that. So I find it fun. I think this time of year is exciting because not only that, but also you just don't know what's going to happen with your ball club. I think there's a lot of optimism this year, but let's see it play out, and we all get so excited if they go to 1-0, and so despondent if they're 0-1, and the season's over. But there's so much baseball yet to still be played, and that's what's going to be so interesting to follow all year long.
I would be really interested to be in the room when Billy Cook and Nick York find out that they're roommates quite often. They are best friends. To find out together that, you guys are both going to be on that opening day roster. You're going to be there in New York. What must that have felt like, especially for a guy like Billy Cook, who did not enter this camp assured of having a position with the major league team?
Yeah, and for Billy Cook, he's 27 years old. He hadn't been invited to spring training until last year. The Pirates, invited him last year, but before that, he was in the Orioles organization. Never even got an invitation to spring training. So you think about guys that have really persevered in a baseball sense, at least, and that's fantastic. And for Nick York, he was a first-round pick of the Red Sox. The Pirates trading Quinn Priester to get him, so you know that they really valued him, and didn't get that opportunity with the Red Sox, and all of a sudden he comes to a new team and trying to impress and all that. Well, he worked really hard over the winter. You hear that cliche, best shape of his life. He really was, and it paid off. And so a relief, I think, comes over these guys. They get to enjoy a few days of feeling that, hey, we've made it. And then they realize we've got 162 in front of us, and we've got to perform at the major league level to keep our jobs. And so then it snaps back into that and back into the routines to try to keep their spots. And so that's how baseball goes. And it's fun to tell those stories, day in and day out about what all these participants are doing in their, personal lives, but also in their baseball lives too.
Is it a surprise to you, or as it was to a lot of folks, that Donnie Kelly said we're going to move Tree to shortstop, and that's going to be his general position, and then Nikki at third base?
Yeah, depending on York or Gonzalez, right? Anybody named Nick can play third. No, I'm not surprised because to me, you have to have a shortstop that can get outs and that you can rely on. And Triolo, no matter where you put him, he's going to be good. Maybe a catcher. He's even pitched once. But I think Triolo is a good shortstop. So for me, I feel as a manager, I would feel confident that he's going to make outs there. He's going to make the plays he should make at the very least, and maybe even some, above average type plays. That has to take place. If you have someone that's short that you're just even not all that confident with, that can steamroll into bigger innings, and then maybe you even lose a game because of it, and then it just steamrolls. It's like having a closer that you don't think can get you 3 outs.
Yeah.
And you lose those late leads, and what that does for the psyche of a team. You have a shortstop that doesn't make the play. That can really get into your head. So that's a spot. That's a position that to me you've got to have someone solid at. So Triolo's there, and then Nick York and Nick Gonzalez have each started one major league game at third base. They've played, between a handful and a couple dozen in the minor leagues at that position. However, they're infielders. They've played there in spring training. They've had them to get ready for that possibility. Are they going to play 162 games at third base this year? No. Connor Griffin's coming at some point. When his bat's going to tell us. When that time comes, Triolo slides back to third. Connor Griffin's your shortstop, hopefully for the rest of his career, but at least several years. Then that becomes moot. So it's so interesting to me because we all do this. We all make so much of that initial roster. Who's made the team? It's mm-hmm. like this glorified tryout camp. But really, we saw last year Nick Gonzalez got re-aggravated an injury on a home run trot, and he's out for a couple months. And day 2 of the season, there's a new roster. So that happens in baseball. We glorify that. 26-man roster on opening day, but really it can change pretty quickly. And so I think with Griffin knocking on the door, you're going to see at least that happening sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I like Triolo gives me that Jordy Mercer type of vibe. And the Pirates have had shortstops like that down through the years. Jay Bell was like that, even going back to Tim Foldy and Gene Alley. Those guys that might not have great range, but they've got really soft hands and they really know how to position themselves and play the game. So it's going to be great watching Jared Triolo there at the shortstop position. Joe, you get to New York. What are the go-to places when you get to New York? If you're fooding up there, what's the best place for you?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Really?
I'm like, stay in my room and eat ramen noodles. I don't know. I think we'll have some extra time there, which makes it a little bit easier to maybe experience the city. But typically on a baseball schedule, there's a game every night, and then you have a few hours to, contact your family, exercise, prep for the game, and go back to the ballpark. So, mm-hmm. But I think in this case we'll have a few days there. They have that built-in off day in case there's a rain out on Thursday. So, be able to experience some things. I don't remember ever having an off day in New York. I'm trying to think of the last time it took place. So I don't remember one. So I don't have a lot of, I don't have a lot of solutions. Usually it's just whatever's real close by, just grab something real quick and for lunch and very rarely do I have an evening off there. So for a dinner. So I don't have any suggestions for you. That's not how baseball life usually works.
You did give us some insight there, though, that on an off day or on a daily basis, you guys have to take care of your lifestyle because it can be really, really tempting to eat unhealthily and to not do the right things with your body. And you have to get your exercise. And I know that that's something that a lot of guys will focus upon. This is a really rough lifestyle to have to lead. I need to be sure that I'm taking care of my body for my own health's sake and for my family. So you got to work out, huh?
Yeah, it's like a vacation every day because you're all in all these cool cities all the time. But you only have a few hours, and it's for 6 months, and so no one goes on vacation for 6 months, but has to work every day too. It's kind of odd.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, can you enjoy certain spots at certain times? Do we have nights off sometimes in Chicago and go on Rush Street and have a few and have some laughs? Yeah, of course we do that. But for the most part, it's picking and choosing those spots. And for whatever reason, I was just trying to think. I'm like, New York, I don't, maybe I'll take a walk in Central Park or something like that. I'm more apt to do that than have a restaurant that I can tell you about, unfortunately. But that's just how it's been. But ask me next week. I'll probably have a few suggestions for you now that I actually, have a few off days in New York and could experience the city again.
Well, I'm not scheduled with you next week, Joe.
No. Okay. Well,
we ought to make this a regular.
You got my number. Just call me. No, where'd you eat? And if I say ramen next week, then you got to get on me for that.
Well, you'll go to Cincinnati after this, so you'll get yourself some chili, I'm sure. All right, Joe. It has been a joy talking with you and with all of the Bucco broadcasters through this spring. It's always a great time for us, and we need to catch up once in a while during the course of the season, too.
Yeah, come on out to the ballpark. You're always welcome anytime, and come on up and see us. And we'd love to just chat and just reminisce about our conversations, and you guys can see how accurate we were with our prognostications. 12 months into the season.
Well, the prognostication from us is the Buccos are in the playoffs this year because I said so.
Yeah, I feel like there's a really good chance. They're going to be, barring a lot of bad things happening. They are going to be in the thick of it all year, and that's going to be exciting for us. And hopefully they make it, and hopefully they go far. So that's all we ask for.
Yeah, it's a heck of a pitching staff, and that can hold you up even when the bats aren't going. And sometimes that's a vice versa situation, too. Joe, thanks so much for the time all this spring, and we wish you the best on this coming season.
Oh, thank you so much, Todd. Appreciate it.
Joe Block and the Pittsburgh Pirates, brought to us today by A&A Construction. They have been kind enough to bring us the Pirates reports all spring training long. It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com.